Most parents are wary of the so-called heavy metal music.
Salut à tous, METALXS, c'est l'essentiel de l'actualité métal et dérivé en quelques minutes, le tout en images, en musique et en interview. METALXS est une exclusivité Refix by Crédit Mutuel, la plateforme de toutes les musiques, tous les talents en partenariat avec Artforce. C'est parti! Nous n'avions pas eu l'occasion de rencontrer The Ghost Inside à la sortie de Searching for Solace en avril. Depuis, le groupe de metalcore californien, au parcours tumultueux, a tourné aux États-Unis, en Australie, en Europe, et c'est lors de son passage à Paris au Bataclan, en octobre dernier, que nous avons enfin pu retrouver le chanteur Jonathan Vigil et le guitariste Zach Johnson pour évoquer ce 6e album et ce qui les a animés en le réalisant.
We wanted the record to feel pretty jarring, to kind of feel like a back and forth, like a push and a pull, a yin and a yang, and that's why we have like really heavy songs and, you know, more melodic songs and a kind of a back and forth because, you know, life is never just a consistent thing. Life, it's always high moments and low moments, and it's just like, it's like this all the time, you know, like, and you can't appreciate when things are going really well unless you've experienced things going really bad, you know, so it's like, that's just how life is. Like, as much as we want it to just be the same, it's never going to be that because, you know, there's sickness and people pass away and things happen to you and things happen to your friends and your family, and it's a constant back and forth. So that's why for us it was important to tell the message of life is the search. There's no like end point. Like, as much as you want to just be in the solace and be at the end point, it's a constant maze and a constant up and down and back and forth, and that's where the whole title came from.
Le titre du dernier album fait forcément écho à l'histoire peu commune de The Ghost Inside. On se rappelle qu'en novembre 2015, sur une route du Texas, le bus de tournée du groupe était entré en collision avec un autre véhicule, causant la mort des 2 conducteurs, des blessures chez les musiciens et pour son batteur Andrew Tekakchik, la perte de sa jambe droite.
The driver of a tour bus is dead after a head-on crash with an 18-wheeler. The band, The Ghost Inside, was traveling on that bus in El Paso after a performance in Lubbock. Gregory Hoke of Round Rock died along with the driver of the 18-wheeler, Stephen Cunningham. 10 passengers on that bus, including members of the band, were hospitalized. The band performed in San Antonio just 2 days before this deadly crash.
Son retour des enfers a été largement documenté. On ne peut s'empêcher de penser à l'accident de Rick Allen de Def Leppard en 1984, et sans sa volonté de s'accrocher, nul ne sait quel aurait été l'avenir du groupe. The Ghost Inside est finalement réapparu en 2019, freiné rapidement dans son élan par la pandémie, ce qui ne l'empêchera pas de sortir un album éponyme en guise de nouveau départ. Et depuis, le groupe a réappris le studio, le live et profité de la vie. Alors, dans quel état d'esprit se trouve-t-il aujourd'hui?
Right now, I'm pretty content. Yeah, things are going pretty well. I'm in a pretty good spot. But for as good as I'm doing, my girlfriend back home just got into a car accident. So, you know, I'm struggling with that. And, you know, so it's as good as I'm doing, things are bad for her. So that's just kind of how, another reason why, how the world works. But currently, yeah, things are good. I'm in pretty good health, and shows have been good, and we have the new record out, and I love being in Paris. A fan brought us some baguettes and some fromage, so I'm excited for that. But yeah, I'm pretty content right now.
Yeah, I feel like I'm in the searching part lately, but that's the whole point of it, is that that things will get better. You have those ebbs and flows. Excited to play a show in Paris tonight, though.
Avec l'expérience qui est la leur, quels conseils donnerait-il aux fans confrontés aux difficultés de l'existence?
Just know that if you're down in life right now, it's always going to get better. And if you're on the up right now, be careful, because things are going to happen, and just be prepared, and just go with the flow. Do your best to adapt.
Yeah, and if you're in that down low part, take it one day at a time. Focus on little victories. Like if you're depressed, give yourself something small to win, like do your laundry for the day or go for a walk. A lot of little victories add up to a big one.
Et quelle chanson illustrerait le mieux justement leur état d'esprit?
Today? I don't know, today's been pretty fun, pretty lighthearted. Maybe a wash it away day? Might be a wash it away day for me.
Wash away is pretty good. I think for me, today's more of a move me day. A lot of moving around, and a lot of just tempo and keeping up pace, and it's been a lot of. There's a laundromat next door to the venue, so we've been doing laundry, and some of the guys are walking around the Eiffel Tower and the Arc de Triomphe and all that kind of stuff. So it's a move me day.
It could also be a split day for me, because there is a laundromat next door, and instead I paid £40 to have my laundry done in London.
Well, we didn't think.
I'm feeling pretty split on it.
we didn't think there was going to be laundry as accessible as it was, and it's literally next door to the venue. And he was like, you know what? We're in England. I know this works. I know this is here. Everyone I know speaks English, so let's just do it. And
I overpaid.
So that's the split.
Tous les amateurs du groupe ont assisté à son évolution, et sur cet album notablement, le chant s'est encore diversifié, non sans conséquences sur scène.
We've always had singing on our records. Well, not always, but since Get What You Give in 2012, we've had singing on record and on live. And I've always done the singing in the studio, but live it's a lot different because of the way that I scream and singing and stuff. So we've worked out a way now to where we're able to do both and kind of go back and forth with Jim, our bass player, who does the singing, and then I pick up the parts where I can catch my breath and switch over from screaming to singing. And it's worked out pretty well. We're playing some songs on the new record that have Wash It Away and Secret are pretty singy songs. So it's been fun doing those, and doing the singing to screaming to back and forth though.
You've been warming up too, though.
Yeah.
He's been warming up like he hasn't always in the past too.
Yeah, we've done. I've taken some vocal lessons back at home just to try to help, because it's really hard to do both. I can sing a part and I can scream a part, but doing both is really, really hard. So props to anybody who can sing and scream at the same time, because it's difficult.
Quels sont les autres changements que cet album très élaboré a nécessité en live?
The thing for us that we noticed right away is the tuning, the guitar tuning is different than our other songs. So we have to
schedule the set list around the different tunings.
Yeah.
guitar changes. We have some like way heavier songs. We've incorporated a lot more singing songs from this record too, and yeah, it's been a good response.
Yeah, all the new stuff is done really, really well, which is what you want to, as a band, you want to be able to play new songs and have people, you know, love the new songs as well as the old songs, and they've been just as crazy, if not crazier than some of the old stuff, so it's been fun.
L'album Searching for Solace possède la caractéristique d'avoir eu plusieurs ingénieurs du son et compositeurs différents, que ce soit Dan Brownstein, qui a produit Dayseeker et Spirit Box, ou encore Cole Quistad de Wage War. C'est la première fois que The Ghost Inside procède de cette manière, et cela laisse-t-il entrevoir qu'il voudra renouveler l'expérience avec d'autres collaborateurs à l'avenir?
I mean, there's always people we want to work with. There's so many talented songwriters in our genre, in our world. I think another one on our list is Drew Folk. He's another big that we want to work with. Do we have anything else in mind that we're trying to work with?
No, we want to work with Jeremy McKinnon again.
Yeah,
he was too busy on when we were doing our last record for him to be able to work on that. We always loved working with him, and this was our first time like working with more than one producer at a time, and it was fun, you know, like they kind of push you to, like, they don't push, but they show you can do stuff that you think you wouldn't be able to. Like even a guitar player, like if someone holds a guitar and writes a riff that Chris or Andrew or me wouldn't ever think to try, and we're like, oh, that can be a Ghost Inside part. It's cool.
Cette intervention extérieure a-t-elle poussé le groupe à essayer des choses qu'il n'aurait pas tenté autrement?
I don't think anything specific, but when we get together, you know, we work on the material and we write what we write, and then we get in with the producer and they kind of add their element to it, you know, because the five of us get it to a point, and then it takes an outside member to hear it and be like, oh, this part should be like this, or like it would sound better maybe if you guys did it like this or whatever. And it's like, it's a lot of like just being open to other people's ideas, you know, and realizing that maybe your idea isn't always the best idea all the time. And it's that was something we learned a lot with this one, is just being really open-minded to everything.
I think Dan Bronstein had like a magic with you when it came to vocals. Like they just understood each other, and I mean he kind of helps you unlock like a raspy sing that you hadn't really done a lot.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, so it's just a trial and error. There's stuff that works. There's stuff that people suggest that it's like we try it and I'm like, that's not right for us, or that doesn't work for us. But yeah, for the most part, it's just getting in there and just trying different ideas, because you know, you don't want to lock yourself in a box, because that just limits you to this one thing. But like, if you're able to adapt and do whatever you want, then it opens up a lot more opportunity.
Cela arrive ces derniers temps, mais peuvent-ils nous expliquer pourquoi avoir sorti l'album à des dates différentes en digital et en physique, et vont-ils procéder ainsi pour la suite?
I don't really know why we did that. I don't know if that was intentional or not.
I don't know if we did either. I think part of it was actually that there was a shortage of vinyls available at the time.
Oh yeah.
I think Adele bought like 1 million vinyls or something, so that could have been part of it. But new format is dropping singles, like, you know, over time into a record. Like that's a pretty new way that a lot of bands just do stuff.
Yeah, I think with the way social media is now, I think it's really the attention span of people has shortened because of things like TikTok and all that kind of stuff. So it's like, it's easier to digest when a band releases a song or two, as opposed to like putting out 12 tracks. Here's 12 tracks. Listen, it's like, it's a lot easier to listen to like one or two or three, you know? So it's just how the music industry has evolved a little bit. And I mean, I think we're always going to be a band that does records and full records, but I could definitely see us releasing singles over time and then putting those singles together in a full album and making it a thing. But
Selfishly, it's kind of fun dropping singles because we get different artwork and we have, instead of just dropping one record we're excited for, we have a bunch of exciting things over time.
Yeah. I don't think it was on purpose. I think it was because we just couldn't physically. I think what it was is we had the date and the tour. We had a tour planned. The record came out on the day one of the tour, and then we got told that, oh, we can't make the physical product for the tour. Do you still want to release it? And we're like, well, we want to play the new song. So it's like, we want to release it. So I think that was the intention behind it.
Le titre Breathless conclut brillamment l'album et offre une vision d'espoir à l'auditeur. Est-ce un aperçu de l'orientation musicale que nous réserve The Ghost Inside pour la suite?
I mean, we have ideas. We're going to be writing again soon, but with this record, we just went in and started writing like writing a melody or writing a guitar part, and that's just how the songs turned out. Like we didn't go in and say we want to sound like a radio rock band, or we want to sound like a punk band, or we want to have like smashing heavy parts. We just went in and started writing and let it come out how it came out, you know? I mean, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, we're pretty open to doing whatever. Like we're all older now. We're on our late 30s, early 40s, and we're at a point now where it's like we just want to be doing the music that we want to do, and like we because of our accident back in 2015, we almost didn't get to do this again. So it's like we want to just appreciate it and just do it for us, and hopefully people can appreciate that along the way. And so far so good. It's been very, very good. So we're just kind of going with the flow and just working on the songs we want to work on and writing the stuff we want to write. So it's been fun.
Notez sur vos tablettes les nouvelles sorties discographiques ou les toutes prochaines à venir.
It's all about love. Come on in. End of the line, can't stop the time. Here we are. Eyes in the sky. One day we'll find. There's some who have no kindness, say for turkey, wine, or give everything I got. Nothing I do is wrong. What the hell was I thinking? I've got to
Cinq ans se sont écoulés depuis notre dernière interview avec OPETH. C'était pour son 13e album, Cauda Venenum. Un disque ambitieux et complexe comme toujours avec le groupe suédois, mais un succès unanime. The Last Will and Testament, paru ce 22 novembre, alors qu'il était initialement prévu mi-octobre, rebrasse complètement les cartes. Techniquement d'abord, avec un changement de label, car OPETH ne sera resté qu'une poignée d'années chez Nuclear Blast. Humainement ensuite, avec un changement de batteur, musicalement avec le retour du growl et du death metal évaporé depuis 15 ans, et par-dessus tout, artistiquement puisque OPETH revient à l'album concept un quart de siècle après Still Life. Cela fait beaucoup de sujets que nous sommes impatients d'aborder avec sa tête pensante, Mikael Åkerfeldt, et le guitariste Fredrik Åkesson. Quand nous avons vu la pochette du disque pour la première fois, son titre que l'on peut traduire par « Dernière volonté et testament », on a bien cru qu'il s'agissait d'un album d'adieu d'Opeth.
No, I mean, well, you never know. I like to treat every record as the last album to kind of keep you on your toes. Besides, you never know what's going to happen. I mean, we did in Cauda, and there was a pandemic, and in the beginning of the pandemic, you didn't know what's gonna happen. Once I got COVID myself, I was like, am I gonna die? Because that was what you were reading in the media, like people were dying, and it was all the borders closed down. It was like apocalyptic, if you know what I mean. But even before the last album, that album I treated as the last one, and the one before that as the last one. It's just a good feeling for me when I write, to think, to not take anything for granted. It makes me. I never done a record just like, we need another record, just throw some shit together so we go out and tour and make money. I treat them like super respect, if you know what I mean. And in order to achieve that, I always remind myself it could be the last album. But the title was just like, that's what it says on the testament in English-speaking countries. It says the last, at least it did back in the day, the last will and testament of OPETH. But it didn't say OPETH.
I like the way that Gary Moore approached it. Like every tone you play should be like the last tone you play in life, if you put it that way. But it's a bit dramatic. But of course, you shouldn't take things for granted. It's important to be in the now when you do an album and just focus on that. And I think it's a healthy way, as Mikael mentioned, to treat it like that. It would probably push you even more, perhaps, if you have that. But I didn't think in those terms. This is the very last. But you never know, you know. And I was more in the Gary Moore zone. Like always try to be. Every note counts, you know.
In a shreddy lick, it's like, no, it wasn't, no, it wasn't, no, it wasn't.
Exactly.
Le concept de ce disque tourne autour du testament d'un riche patriarche après la Première Guerre mondiale, dont les volontés sont lues dans son manoir au début de l'histoire.
So I got interested in the topic when I saw like a TV interview, like a shit TV interview, like some shit show, Malou.
Yeah.
And she had invited a guest that was going through this, like a fight over inheritance with his siblings. So I found it fascinating, and I wanted to sample from that very interview in the song, but I didn't get the rights or whatever. So it kind of stuck with me in a way. I mean, it is interesting. It's not something that you grow out of, in terms of, at least not for me. So, and of course along comes Succession, the TV series Succession, which made a big impact on me. Not that I was like, okay, I'm gonna do something like this. It was just, I loved it, and it was kind of touching upon that topic. So that's why, I guess.
Un programme de télé suédoise?
Yeah,
Swedish.
It's Swedish.
Malou
Talk show.
After 5 or something?
Yeah, it's nothing you really watch, but sometimes when you put it on TV, it's there. So
Yeah.
You kind of suck in. And
It's a show that you would see if you're unemployed.
En parlant de télé, Mikael a composé pour la série suédoise Netflix Clark en 2022. Est-ce que composer une bande originale l'a influencé dans la réalisation du nouvel album?
Not really. I mean, Clark was like somebody had. I mean, I was delivering music to writing music and delivering music to order, basically. Somebody else are gonna say this is good enough or this is bad, you know, like it wasn't up to me in a way. So I was just kind of, it was a shot in the dark, to be honest. Just like, do you like this? Does this work? But one thing I learned, I didn't think of images when I was writing the music for this record, but I did learn to write fast, at least. So that's something I take with me from Clark, you know, that I wrote fast, but like I didn't even have images when I wrote for Clark. Okay. I just knew that it's going to start in the 1940s and into the 80s. and beyond. That's all I knew. So I didn't. There was only a few scenes that actually had the footage, and I wrote to that scene. One scene was like a Clark and a half-naked or a naked woman jump into a swimming pool, and it's like an underwater scene where they swim around, and that I got that scene, and I wrote the harp, like, you know, whatever it was. But other than that, I didn't get many scenes at all. So it's just completely stab in the dark.
Fredrik travaille-t-il aussi dans la spontanéité et la rapidité?
I do when I have to, if the pressure is on. No, it's quite easy to come up with stuff. I did music for this project called Black and Bright with the producer from Rammstein. And I had to put in I had to sort of become a classic composer with the old classical music. So he asked me for sections, and I came up with them pretty fast. But I think I need to have like a blowtorch on me. So when Mikael sends me for the new album, he sends me just the background for the solo. He asked me to do a solo, and I dig into it. Then I feel the pressure, and then I force myself to be efficient. But when I work on my own stuff for some eventual solo album, it takes a bit too long. I need somebody to stick a dagger in my back or something. Just poke me a little bit. Don't stick it.
Fredrik, qui a la réputation d'être un guitariste d'une grande efficacité dès la première prise.
He can. I would be happy with every first take. He delivered so many first takes, and I said, "That's it, we got it." And he's like, "No, let me do another." So he can definitely like just improvise together a great guitar solo, and many times that happened.
Yeah, in previous albums, usually I come down to Mikael's studio in the demo stage and put something down, and you usually pretty quickly Mike is happy about it, and I'm always, I know there could be something more. There can always be something more.
Extra
But
2%.
sometimes you have to let go. But this time around we worked differently. I did all the solos on my own, so some of them I spent quite a long time with.
Si le précédent date, ce n'est pas le premier album concept dans la carrière d'Opeth. Mikael s'est-il inspiré d'albums cultes élaborés sur le même principe?
Not really. No, most of the time, if you don't talk about King Diamond, I don't really understand the classic concept albums. I don't know what the concept is, to be honest. You read about like life and death, what the dark side of the moon and the wall, which like it's kind of debatable what they are about, so to speak. Thick as a brick, which have made us a joke, I think. So no, I don't have a template really. I don't want it to be
Nostradamus, Judas Priest.
Yeah, Nostradamus, Judas Priest.
And also the one with Dio, Magica.
Magica, yeah. But I don't look at those thinking, okay, I'm going to try and do something like that. But I think subconsciously I've been influenced by all of them, in a way. I mean, King Diamond, of course, that was a big thing for me. In the metal world, that was the music that struck me the most. That was at the same time Concept Records, his Abigail and Them, and Conspiracy, those types of records. But for me, it was just kind of like an easy way out with lyrics. To write concept, it made it easier for me to kind of, all I had to do was to generate some type of story, and then I could stick to that story, as opposed to having 8 different stories, so to speak, and maybe you want to say something, but I didn't really have anything to say. So that was always a struggle for me. With the exception of the last record, which those lyrics I'm quite happy with, but it just makes it easier. Besides, I had the idea for the concept. It felt like a fairly original concept for us and for metal music or hard rock music, I guess, to a certain extent. So it was. I don't have a template at all. It's just kind of make it up in a way as I go along. The exception this time was that I had the outlines of a story, so I tried to stick to that story, or actually did stick to that story throughout, But the answer is no, no template.
Il a même poussé la précision jusqu'à reprendre la prononciation anglaise de l'époque.
Yeah, I mean, I love the language itself. I love it, you know, and I'm not like ever since the first record, I was going through dictionaries and looking up, basically look like having a death metal records like Morbid Angel. What does Morbid mean? Okay, check it out. So I have a fascination with the language itself. Then also the story takes place in, say, the 1920s. So it was fitting with how I like to write, like semi-poetic, and like sometimes you kind of bring back to life some, at least for me, some words I never stumbled upon that I haven't really seen in other bands' lyrics either. So I just, you know, kind of rediscover old words, and then sometimes it's a big mistake because you use a word that's now means something completely different and sometimes really silly. It's like, oh my God, you know, that English-speaking fans would say, really, that's what you're saying? But that means this and that, you know, and I'm like, oh, sorry. But yeah, it is written in that sense, like an old, the main character, I mean, he's born, say, mid, like 1850s, so to speak, dying in around 1920s. So it's even older, you know, but then again, I wouldn't know. I don't have many people to check my references with that are alive or anyone that studied the language. It's just made up in a way. And I allow myself for that artistic freedom to make mistakes. So I choose to own those mistakes, if there are any, and just make up my own story.
Sur l'album Morning Rise, en 1996, Mikael s'initiait déjà aux subtilités linguistiques avec une inspiration inattendue.
I used the word cesspool on an early record, and I thought it was like, because I took it from a Judas Priest lyric, where Rob Halford sings cesspool of sorrow. And I thought that sounds beautiful. But cesspool is really just a fucking, like a shit in a hole, as in human feces. And that's not what I intended. But that line is still beautiful. This cesspool of sorrow.
The cesspool of sorrow. Every few moments.
Dans le passé, on trouvait des instants de calme acoustique qui modulaient l'écoute. Est-ce une décision consciente dès le départ de revenir à une telle intensité?
That's the first time a lot of people have the hang-ups on the screaming vocals. Yeah. And I was thinking they're not asking so much about the acoustic elements, which are kind of not there as much as they were on previous records. So thank you. But it wasn't really a conscious decision, I think. Once I had like one or two songs finished, I felt that I had an idea for the rest of the album, and I wanted it to be stark and bleak, dark sounding and quite heavy because of the concept in a way. There is some kind of more melodic bits and pieces in there, a little bit of acoustic guitars, but generally I wanted it to be a bit of like an assault on the ears, almost like assault is a good word, and very energetic and intense until you get the breather with the last song, which is more airy, so to speak.
I agree. I think it's still very dynamic, but it's more compressed. Like you wouldn't linger on a section as long as we might have done in the past. This is a bit more compressed, but it has more ingredients than ever, I would say.
Le retour au groll sur ce disque est-il venu de l'insistance des fans, de sa propre envie ou d'un peu des deux?
It would never come from the fans, but I would be lying if I said I'm completely unaffected by people calling me a wimp or a traitor or whatever. You know, it's been there, but you cannot coerce me into doing something. It's songs that I will sit down and write. I'm not thinking of what the fans want. Besides, you can't really win anyways. But yeah, it did affect me, but not to the point where I would alter my whole taste or how I would like write music, really. So it was only the concept. Besides, I never said it will never return. I said I'm just not interested in that stuff now. So it, like, together with the story, we had been talking a little bit about trying to, see if we could increase the heaviness a little bit, like within the band. And I was not opposed to it because I felt done within Cauda. That was like the end of a chapter. Let's do something else. I've decided I'm going to try it out with writing something more vicious and intense or whatever. And hence you get the type of that type of vocals could be beneficial to music like that, which wasn't the case with the last 4 records as far as I'm concerned. So that's the only reason why it's there. And it sounded good, I felt confident. Of course, in the back of my head I knew, okay, here we go. People are gonna go like, oh, you're screaming. Why are you screaming again? As opposed to why are you not screaming, which I heard for 10 years. Now it's all like, why are you doing it? Before it was like, why are you not doing it?
I think you also noticed when we played live shows, playing the older stuff with that element in it. I could tell that Mikael kind of enjoyed it a bit more than a few years back before that. It's like, I saw something in his face, a little bit like, and your growls are even more guttural and powerful now, I would say.
They're quite good, I have to say, if I may say so.
Yeah, so...
I got in the zone when I was doing it because I did them in the basement of my house. And I was like, it was like I was transformed into the younger me, in a way. I got that same feeling. I clenched like to the point where I had like almost bleeding because I was so into it, like I was when I was young. And I don't really listen to death metal music anymore, apart from when I'm drunk and I want to hear like Morbid Angel or Entombed or something like that, you know what I mean? So it was like, it was super fun. It was really, really fun.
L'une des grandes surprises de ce disque, c'est la présence de Joey Tempest, le chanteur du rap. Il nous explique dans quel contexte cette collaboration s'est faite.
Well, because I am a huge Europe fan. I always loved Joey's voice. We became friends. That part on the demo stage sounded a bit like what he would sing. And I figured, why not bring in the real deal, as opposed to me doing a half-assed, I can sing like him. So it's also like a fun thing to have like an idol on the record that could also do it better. So it was like a so-called win-win situation. And I agree, like it's not one of those things. I still can't believe it, that it happened, but he's in there and it's awesome.
Joey connaissait OPETH avant cela?
No, he started...
He's come to our shows. He went to our gig in London.
Yeah. He started texting and we had lunch and we become friends, and he's all constantly asking, and he was really happy, I think, being involved in this project. He said when he heard the song, I got the goosebumps, he said. So, and now when it's there, it really works. I mean, it's not strange anymore.
And it's a great contrast, I think, to have Ian Anderson on one side and Joey Tempest on the other, and then Mikael sums it up a bit after coming in with the growl vocals. It's a unique combination of different sounds.
Mikael adore Jethro Tull et son chanteur flûtiste Ian Anderson. Pourquoi cette collaboration s'est-elle produite sur ce disque et pas auparavant?
I've been kind of hunting him because I'm a fan in a way. I mean, just to sit down and talk to him, I met him once, but that's amazing to me, to ask him things about whatever, his band and the past and his perception. He's like a silent mentor of sorts, band leader, like I feel we have things in common, but he don't know that yet. But I kind of look at him as a beacon, you could say. And I did ask him around the time we did the Heritage record, because there's a flute solo on that record, and I never got a response from him then. And this has been brought up a couple of times in interviews like this, when there's a filmed interview, and I did some filmed interview somewhere where this story was brought up, or maybe I brought it up, saying, like, I reached out to Ian, 2010 or whatever, and that fucker did something. I was jokingly saying something like that, and I think him or his management saw that interview. And I got an email, say 2 years ago, where it said, from Jethro Tull management, he said, Ian would love to play with you. So I kept that in the back of my head, and once I asked him, it wasn't a flute solo like most people would probably ask him, he was a narrator. Yeah. So for that reason, he said yes quite immediately, and he said this a very odd request, and he never had that request really before. And for that reason, he's in. And as he was doing the narrating, when that was kind of done, he said, do you need some flute? And I'm like, yes, we do.
Imagine saying no to that.
No, of course I wouldn't say no. He's amazing. And that really added to, not just the song it's in, just the whole record. Thinking about the record, knowing that it's an Ian Anderson flute solo in the middle of the record, to me that's a great record, even before you hear it.
Et quand on leur demande s'ils ont d'autres noms en tête, d'artistes avec lesquels ils aimeraient travailler, difficile de savoir s'ils sont sérieux ou non.
Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
No, now somebody like, okay, we could go for people we really admire, or we could go to somebody that would make us sell shitloads, stupid amounts of records.
Yeah. It's a good question, tricky. I mean, Celine Dion?
She's not really singing anymore, is she?
Well, she did at the Olympics.
She could do narrating. Ask Celine Dion to do talking.
Yeah, in French.
Celine Dion. She likes heavy metal.
I guess she does.
Celine Dion is a rocker. Celine, give us a call.
Le 21 février prochain, OPETH sera en concert pour le 2e Olympia de sa carrière. Prévoit-il de jouer l'album dans son intégralité pour préserver le concept dans son ensemble?
Yeah, that's the question, by the way. That we're going to ask if we're going to play the whole album.
But you phrased it differently.
Yeah, you did. Good.
So credit to you.
Good work. No, I particularly don't like doing those things. I think it's boring. I don't want to see shows where the band plays the whole, if you don't count, like, say, The Wall or something like that. I want people to leave our shows feeling entertained, and this is a new thing, kind of new thing for me. I went like my integrity all the way. I'm never going to compromise with my integrity. But then I realized it doesn't matter. Like, when you play live, you want people to be happy. Fuck my integrity. The records, they're still there. But when you play a show, you want people to hear a song that they, fell in love with when they were young, or there's something happened. They have stories with this song, or that era of the band, or whatever. So if we do a thing like play the whole album, it's going to be like a select performance, maybe. But we're just going to play a couple of songs.
Voilà, METALXS, c'est terminé pour aujourd'hui. On se retrouve dans 15 jours pour un nouveau numéro avec toujours plus d'interviews, de surprises et de contenus inédits. Un immense merci pour votre fidélité et n'oubliez pas de prolonger l'expérience métal sur refix.fr. Salut!